Hello. It's 2 years this month that my partner and I, Adam and I, we sold all of our belongings, packed up whatever we had left, and left the UK to start life somewhere else in a different country. So what I want to do is I want to give you an update on where we are at, where I'm at 2 years later. Uh, it it could be quite overwhelming to try and encapsulate 2 years, but obviously I do a lot of reflection during this whole process. But I'm going to break it down to three categories: home, relationships, and work. And that's the kind of a model that I use. I use it in my personal and in my professional life. If I'm just meeting a friend that I haven't seen for a while, I kind of talk about those three categories. So just so that you know, when I'm talking about home, I'm talking about your safe space. So that could be literally anywhere. When I'm talking about work, it means what I'm putting the most of my energies into. And when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about all of my relationships, not just with people, not just with my partner or family or work colleagues or friends, but also my relationship to the environment around me. 2 years ago, this month, my partner and I, Adam and I, we packed up all of our stuff and we out of the UK. And it's hard to know where to start if I was to tell you what it's been like, but I'm going to try and show you where I am at now for anyone who might be in a similar kind of space and feeling like they're ready to make a change. It's a big change. So to start with home is where we sleep, and it's very different to what life was like in the UK, where you're encouraged to put so much effort and spend so much money on your home. You're encouraged to plow everything into this bricks and mortar setup, and it's very different here. Home ownership is a very different thing, and I realise that home ownership is something the way it is in the UK is something very particular to the UK, because it's quite different in Europe as well. But yeah, it's so different here. Like, home now is literally somewhere where we sleep. I have no desire to sort of have people over for dinner, because that's not really a part of this culture. No desire to keep redecorating, to change the curtains and change a stained carpet, all that stuff, buy a new coffee table that way we were living before. And now we don't even have running hot water, and it's not even an issue. And I'm realizing that keeping it simple is one of the big keys to success if you are thinking of starting over. I was always cutting flowers, buying flowers, decorating the home with flowers, but because I'm now surrounded by flowers outside everywhere, growing wild and free, I almost feel liberated from my home. So the biggest change in home life is not having the pressures of high rents and high utilities. And I would say to anyone who's thinking of life in some other country, this is definitely something you should consider: how much it will cost to put a roof over your head and to be able to keep yourself warm or cold, whichever that is, and to be able to feed yourself. And if you are looking to relocate to another country, choose somewhere where rent and utilities are not extortion. And that's home. What I would say is, wherever you decide to go, pick somewhere where the rent it's not going to be too difficult to make rent, to pay your utilities, so that you can have more free time. And then pick somewhere where there are things to do in your free time, like coming here for show you where we're staying. It doesn't cost very much. Keep going, it's fine. It doesn't cost very much. And we're down on the beach, a nice wooden cabin, and choose somewhere where also it's quite cheap to feed yourself, where food doesn't cost a lot. So if you're thinking of leaving the Matrix, things to think of, things to bear in mind is make sure that it's not going to cost too much to pay your rent, your utilities, or to feed yourself, or to get around. And another big difference here is being able to get around. Now, in London, you have what I thought was the huge expense of using the underground or using the rail system to travel throughout the country, which I thought was really extortionate. But when you're somewhere where you can rent a scooter affordably and where petrol is very affordable, you're suddenly able to move around a lot easier, and it's very, very freeing to know that I can move around this island very, very freely. I mean, the UK is only an island, but it's so expensive to move around that island freely, so it's another element of why it's been so far a really good option of leaving the UK. That's home. Now I'm gonna talk about work.